Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, then a massive welcome to you. My name is Dr. Baptiste. I am a portfolio GP or a GP with a portfolio career. In today's video, we're going to be talking about resilience. What exactly is resilience and why do we need it? Why is it important, especially if you are a medic? So Dr. Rachel Morris is going to speak to us about resilience. You may remember Dr. Rachel from a previous video in the series Just What Can a GP Do, where Dr. Rachel talks about her career in medical education. Dr. Rachel also has a course on resilience and she has been very kind to give you guys 10% off her course, and you can find the link in the description box below the video. So if you want to know more about resilience and exactly how you can develop resilience or develop more resilience, then watch the video right to the end. Before we get into the video, if you are new and you haven't subscribed, then why not consider subscribing, because I have so many useful videos to support you on your medical journey. As always, if you do like the video, you enjoy it and you want to see more of similar content, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let's get into the video.
Hi, I'm Dr. Rachel Morris. I'm a GP and an executive and team coach, and I host the podcast You Are Not a Frog, which shares life hacks for doctors who want to beat burnout and work happier. I'm a specialist in resilience in the workplace, and I'm also course director for the Redwell Lead Manage Thrive course for GPs. What is resilience? Resilience is a difficult term, and I think resilience encompasses a lot of skills that we need to have just for life, to be happy in life, to perform well at work, and to be able to take control of our time and our workload and be productive. I think the definition I like the most for resilience is bounce back ability. So the ability to bounce back from setbacks and to recover from failure and things that get in our way. And in fact, I've heard people say that it's not bounce back ability, it's actually bounce forward ability. So the ability to learn from our mistakes and then take things from there and actually do even better next time and be productive because of what's happened, not in spite of what's happened. So that's my definition of resilience, although it's a really, really broad thing. So how can we develop resilience? Well, I think there are three things that we can do to reduce stress and help us cope with life. And these are on three different levels. Now, stressful things happen to us all, right? We can't help it. And whether we get very stressed or not depends entirely on our reaction to the things that have happened. So if you told me that I had to put in a proposal for something in 10 minutes time, that's going to be very stressful for me because I'm here recording this video and I haven't got time to do it. If you told me it had to be in a week's time, no stress at all. I know I've got time to do that. So it's entirely dependent on my thinking about what's been asked of me or what's happened. Now, we spend a lot of our time looking at how we manage the symptoms of stress, because if I'm constantly responding badly to things, I'm going to go off with those symptoms and signs of stress that we as doctors spend a lot of our time signing people off sick with. So you can cope with stress on that level, so dealing with the symptoms, managing your anxiety, trying to relaxation techniques, you've got medication, you've got therapies, all those sorts of things. But because I'm a good GP, I like to work up a level a bit. And I think that actually by the time we're trying to deal with people who've got a lot of symptoms with stress or manage our own symptoms of stress, it's slightly too late. I prefer to work up a level and look at our response and changing our response to the stressful things that are happening. So one way of increasing your resilience is managing your thinking, taking notice of when our amygdalas flare up in reaction to what's happening. So when stressful things happen, we have this amygdala response that puts us into our fight, flight or freeze zone. And our amygdala will respond to types of threat. So there are three types of threat: a physical threat, am I going to be eaten by a bear? A hierarchical threat, is the alpha male trying to usurp me from the tribe? Or a group threat, because when we were living in caves, what people thought of us was really important, because if you got chucked out of the group, you would die of exposure or be eaten by a bear, or both. So we have these three different types of threats. And our amygdalas are constantly scanning around for threats. So we are liable to interpret a lot of things as if we were just about to be eaten by a bear. So I might respond to a difficult email or someone being rude to me in a very stressed way because of this ancient inbuilt mechanism. And our amygdalas respond 5 times faster than our rational human thinking brain. So we have this stress response before we even had time to process and think about it. Now, Dr. Steve Peters has called this response the chimp, your inner chimp that comes out when we experience a threat. And there's a fantastic book called The Chimp Paradox, which I would recommend anybody reads. And the thing is, we can't stop this response from happening, but we can manage our chimp. He calls this response the inner chimp. We can manage our chimp. We can manage our own reactions and responses when it does. So first thing to say about developing resilience is to develop the skills to take a good hard look at how we're thinking and how we're responding to things, giving ourselves space and time to really interpret what's happening, interpret the stories in our head, and then change those stories and look at what's really true and what's really going on. So that's changing it at the response level, and it's absolutely vital. And the Beat, Stress and Thrive course that I have produced will take you through how to identify when you have been triggered into that fight, flight or freeze zone. And it will help you examine some of those stories, those negative stories that we are telling ourselves that cause us to stay in that stress zone and feel very, very stressed. So that is the response level. There's another level that's even higher, and that's the prevention level. So preventing this stressful stuff from happening in the first place. And there are loads of things we can do about that. The first thing would be taking control. So actually working out what we're in control of and what we're not in control of. Because I think a lot of people who become very stressed are focusing on all those things that you can't control, that are completely out of your control. So at the moment, coronavirus crisis, whether the schools are open or shut, is completely outside of my control. I can't control what other people say or do or think of me. I can't control what the government policy is. I can't control what my children do. However, I can control how I respond. I can control what conversations I have with people, how I choose to spend my time, how I plan things, how I plan my work. All those sorts of things I am in control of. So if you stick in your zone of power, in what you can control, you'll become much more powerful, much more productive. So that would be my first principle in preventing this stuff from stressing us out in the first place. Secondly, we can learn to be a bit more assertive, say no to things, and actually have difficult conversations in a way that aren't going to trigger that chimp response in ourselves or other people. So again, a skill that can be learned. We need to maximise our own well-being because we are not superhuman and we cannot carry on and on and on without taking breaks, and we cannot ignore our physical and our mental health. If you are unwell and under par, yeah, you can do your job, but it won't be as easy and you won't be as effective. And our own well-being is something that a lot of the time we have got control over. And a lot of it means that we have to plan what we're going to do, and we need to make very small changes just to keep ourselves more physically and mentally healthy at work. So there are things that we can do and ways that we can look at that. And in the Beat, Stress and Thrive course, we go through all the different wellbeing factors and we do a quick audit of where you are on each of those factors and suggest some small things that you can do as healthcare professionals to make the changes that count. Now, the other things we can do is actually get ourselves out of victim mentality, because I think when the workload builds up and up and up, when in the middle of a crisis, it's very easy to feel helpless, like we have no control and like we are a victim. The other difficult mentality that we can get ourselves into is the other way, is to feel like a rescuer. So to feel that we are responsible for everything and everybody and take the whole worries and woes of the world and our patients and our families and our colleagues onto ourselves, almost treating the others as if they were the victims and we were the heroes and we were there to rescue people. Now, neither the victim nor the rescuer mentality is helpful, and instead we need to become more empowered and powerful, productive ourselves by staying in our zone of power. And we need to get out of a rescuer role and maybe take more of a coaching approach where we can get alongside and support people and ask them what they're going to do to solve their own problems, rather than trying to do everything for other people. And I think as doctors, we often get into that rescuer mode where we are trying to solve everybody's problems. And that is a surefire way to burn out really, really quickly. It's really important that we recognise if and when we are taking some of these unhelpful roles, such as being a rescuer or a victim. And these are part of a shape called the drama triangle. The other role in the drama triangle is the persecutor role, and many as persecutors. But instead, we need to see these things as challenges that we can overcome, and that we are equipped to overcome. So there's looking at the different roles that we're taking within the drama triangle. There's looking at the ways to well-being. There's thinking about how I can stay in my zone of power. We can also think about how we manage our time. So I think the problem for doctors and GPs is that we have too much to do and too little time to do it. And the problem is not that we're not efficient enough, it's that we can't possibly do everything we think we need to do. So we need to learn how to separate the stuff that's urgent from important. Because if something is important but not urgent, then what happens, it drops to the bottom of our pile. We never get round to doing it until it suddenly becomes very, very urgent, and then we're doing it in a rush. We'll be much more productive if we were able to block out time to get to those important things that are going to make a huge difference in our lives. And we also need to get rid of some of that stuff that isn't important, either by delegating it to other people, by eliminating it altogether, and then finally, just trying to take more of a coaching approach with your colleagues, with your friends and yourselves can be really helpful. So if you're interested in taking back control of your time and your workload, for feeling better, feeling calmer, making better decisions, and being able to have better conversations, then why don't you have a look at the Beat, Stress and Thrive for Healthcare Workers course. This will take you through all of the concepts I've just talked about and help you with very specific activities that you can reflect on and work towards, and set actions that will help you thrive rather than just survive in your work throughout 2021, even in these really, really difficult times that we're in at the moment. And there's a discount code in the links below, so do check it out. And if you're not happy with it, I'm offering 100% no quibbles money back guarantee.
So that was just a taster about resilience. If you want to build and develop your resilience even further, then why not check out Dr. Rachel's course? All the information will be in the description box below the video. I hope you found it useful, of course, and if you did, then make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. I will see you in my next video.